Hey, Sandra, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm ready for this to be over, but I'm doing pretty well.
Good. Well, glad to hear it. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Additionally, I'm Lori Williamson. In case you haven't seen me before, this is, I think, our fourth in the series of items of the week because, we can't talk about just one thing. There's just too much good stuff to share with you guys. Today, our topic is items that are either they're either scarce or hard to find items, and what we have in the collection that kind of reminds us of that. Or we don't mean to make anybody jealous about the toilet paper we have, etc., but we just wanted to share with you guys some of the cool stuff that we have in the collections. Again, as always, I'm with my wonderful colleague Sandra Ryerson, the 3D objects curator, and so now we're going to show you some stuff. Hey, Sandra, by the way, I love your shirt. I don't know anybody out there who's really keeping track. That was I was wearing the exact same shirt. That is mine last week. But anyway, it looks great on you.
Yeah, I love that we have complementary fashion,
I
Lori.
know. It's not quite the same time, but someday. All right, what do we have here?
Oh, we have some amazing examples of toilet paper. So the most obvious one is the Scott roll, and I think on the back of that, or if we could see a larger version, you could see that there's Spanish on the product packaging, and that's actually why we collected it. Is from Uno Branding, and they were working with companies like Target to translate products into product text into Spanish.
That one, the bag
Yeah.
on the bottom, the plastic bag, that looks like the toilet paper I have taken camping before. Not that actual one, but I mean,
Yeah.
toilet paper camping, that's what it looks like.
This is from something a little more exciting than your just run-of-the-mill camping. This is from 1989, Will Steger's expedition, the Trans-Antarctica expedition.
Wow.
So this is leftover TP from 1989.
Okay, that's weird on many, many, many levels. One, I don't think I'd want to make that trip personally myself. I'm glad someone has. Go Steger, but no, I would not. It's not on my radar.
The Steger toilet paper is part of a much larger collection representing that trip. So we didn't just take the toilet paper.
Thank you for
but
that. That's important to know.
the deer
Yeah.
is made of paper. So that's why it fits in with these other two items. Sometime in the 70s or 80s, an inmate in solitary confinement at Stillwater made this deer and many other pieces. But
Wow.
we've been hearing in the news lately about the virus going through prisons too, and this fellow was already in solitary confinement, but I know that they're kind of trying to separate people in prisons, and that's got to be incredibly difficult. Flour milling, we've got a great flour milling collection, and a couple of these pieces are directly related to that. So gold medal in Crosby, of course, that's now the home of the Mill City Museum, which unfortunately is closed at the moment.
I have to say, looking at that, I remember when I was a kid back a million years ago, those things were so fun. And now, like, I'm so sick of cooking, as a kid, that was amazing. And now I'm just like, no, done.
Yeah, I loved my Easy Bake Oven.
Right?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Definitely burnt my fingers on the light bulb too.
Yeah, I threw the last thing in because my friends have been freaking out about the lack of yeast in stores. And so I thought we had to have something yeast related in here. And this is a box of yeast foam made from root beer and other beverages, but then you can make bread from that yeast foam. And this box was used at the Harkins store, one of our sites. So that's pretty cool. And also, we just had a little video posted on our site, I think it was yesterday, about how you can get yeast from the air. So everybody should look into that if they need yeast.
And in addition to flour, we have rice in short supply. And I think the most commonly short supplied is what you see on the one side, the Asian food bag. So Asian Food Inc. was based in St. Paul, and they put out bags like this of long grain rice. But our more Minnesota variety is the wild rice. So the one on the top there was packaged for Mille Lacs Indian Museum, which is another one of our historic sites. And then the one on the bottom was packaged for a company in Grand Rapids. Yeah, and of course we have to talk about liquor because that is an essential function. All the liquor stores are still open.
Yep.
And that really reminded me of these Prohibition era things. So the 1926 bottle of Kentucky Old Blue Ribbon Kentucky whiskey here, the best part about that object is that it has a prescription written onto it. So in 1926, a doctor was prescribing whiskey to a patient because they couldn't legally get alcohol any other way. And so the gallon of perfume, the Sweetone you see there, that was found behind a false wall with like 60 gallons of the stuff, and there's a high alcohol content.
Ew.
So you'd have to redistill it.
Ew.
Drinkable.
Yeah, so yeah, you can look up, Sweetone or perfume or whatever in Minnesota history, which is also at mnhs.org, and learn a lot more about it. It's a really well done article. Is that green, Sandra? Does that look like that liquid vaguely green?
Very green, yep. And I think that has to do with the other ingredients, that they were adding to it to make it scented. But yeah, there was a raid on this company in the 20s because they were suspected of not doing the right thing with their perfume.
Gross. Anyway, okay, let's move on to more appetizing alcohol. Yay.
Yeah, more contemporary examples here. So Shell's, of course, is the oldest brewery in Minnesota. Their 150th anniversary brew, pictured here, is now 10 years old. So they've gone 160 years now. Karst is located in Fountain in Fillmore County. That growler, of course, speaks to the more modern era of brewing in Minnesota. But then you have, Summit. That is a set of 1988 Summit EPA bottles.
Wow.
So Summit's been around a while. And then on the bottom, you've got a pint glass and a can of Furious from Surly. The pint glass celebrates the bill that was passed in 2009 that allowed liquor sales on site at breweries. So we're all very grateful for that, especially now. You can go to your local brewery and hopefully they can still be selling to you.
Yeah, that's cool because that is a throwback to the old breweries. Back at the turn of the last century, the 20th century, people would go to their local brewery and pick up supplies. So that's a cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah, and it's not just breweries. We have distilleries in the state too. So yeah, there are a couple of examples. So we've got a distillery in Duluth and another in Minneapolis featured here. But there again, like you can support your local businesses in this time.
Yeah, I did not realize that the Voyager. I should have realized it was a canoe icon, but I didn't see that till just now. How very cute.
Yes, so this is a photo from the inside of I believe this would be in the Young Brothers barbershop, but next door was the Satin Doll Beauty Salon. And those businesses were owned and operated by a husband and wife team, and they're pictured here behind the seated man. I don't think we know who's in the chair, but that's Pauline and Sylvester Young.
Looking good.
And stuff from their business. So we have a huge collection of objects in addition to a manuscript collection. And we're talking about hair care because there are things that we can't access right now. So getting your hair professionally done, getting it trimmed with those shears, getting your shave on. Maybe you can do that for yourself at home, but you're losing that in-person connection right now with this epidemic.
Can we talk about the hairdryer just for 1 second? Everybody loves that thing. That thing is like, you can't really tell from the photo here, but it is like, it's a floor one. So it comes up, but it's slightly shorter than a person.
Yeah, you sit under it, right? So it's very 1950s looking. It's fabulous. And we did another video that incorporated the hairdryer. So maybe we can send people to that as well.
Yeah. Yes. Very cool. Well, and if you've been watching our series of Item of the Week from the beginning 4 weeks ago, my hair is getting a little out of control. That was another reason we decided to talk about hair products here because we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that mine's just long right now. You can't see the ends. Ha.
No.
But we all have to keep washing it. Here's a bottle of shampoo. It's empty because when we collected it fairly recently, the contents had totally separated and it looked pretty disgusting. So the reason that we want the bottle is because it's a local manufacturer. The ceramic piece there, the porcelain, that is a hair receiver. So your Victorians would collect the hair from their brushes and place it in the hair receiver, and then turn around and make beautiful things sometimes. These look professionally done. These are earrings and a brooch, all made of human hair. And, you know, a lot of people think of this as weird or gross, but what mom doesn't have a lock of their baby's hair from their first haircut, right? Like, this is not new or all that strange, frankly.
But I didn't make it into a piece of jewelry that I wear every day. I don't know. You're right. And they're really beautifully done.
Maybe if you did, you would feel closer to your child.
I think we can't possibly get any closer right now, Sandra.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's right. They are really beautiful, though. I mean, like, they're incredibly intricate. I can't imagine the detail work. I mean, my hands just don't do that. So, but
yeah, the number of hours that would go into making even a single piece like that, and of course they aren't all that gorgeous.
Well, and if people are also looking up or wondering other things to look up on collections online, you can put in hair jewelry and see.
Oh yeah,
many different examples. All right, so now we're on to the piece that I wanted to share with you, which is only vaguely hair related. This is the Illustrated Historic Atlas of the State of Minnesota. We always refer to it as the Andreas Atlas. You can see his name at the bottom. He and his company are the ones that put this together in 1874. It is a beautiful piece. It's been digitized online. It's great. But if you want to go to the next slide, the reason I brought this up is because at the back of this, so the atlas itself has, you know, town maps and images from different cities at the era, and it's great. But I love it because at the back of it, it has these images of the people of the time. So remember, this is 1874. So we've got some incredible hairstyles. My favorite is on the left side. The guy kind of there, second row from the bottom in the middle. You can see his hair is just like standing up. He is fantastic. There's also some really great facial hair. So those guys on the left are early settlers, and there's a page of real estate dealers. There are senators, other important figures. These guys all had to pay to be in here, so it's a status thing, and also a business promotion thing. But like, there's just some really great hair going on back here. Now, at the bottom of on the right, you can see there are like 4 women. They're the only women in this section, and they're largely early settlers. One is a teacher, I think, and one's another like important figure. So, but I just wanted to share this because it's a really, really great way to look at people's fashion and hair fashion from the 1870s.
Yeah, and this reminds me so much of, was it a website or a blog? My Daguerreotype Boyfriend.
Yeah.
You got to Google that if you haven't seen it, because it's amazing. Yes, and I'm sure it still exists because it's the internet.
Oh yeah, of course it does somewhere. I'm going to do in this time of quarantine. I'm going to start I wanted to do a vote for, you know, who wore it better or whatever between some of these guys. We'll see if I can get that together. I want to remind people, our viewers, of a couple of things. We've got a great history at home section on our website, mnhs.org, for people who want to do some, you know, research, historical digging, things like that. We also are doing a COVID-19 collecting initiative. When you go to our main homepage, it's right in the middle. Share your stories, photos, other things that you might have. So take a look there. And, you know, just keep up with us and keep in touch. And we're really happy to know you're out there and wish you all the best. And we'll see you next week. Bye, Sandra. It's good to see you as always.
Good to see you.